Welcome into the NBA Tip-Off Show on WagerTalk TV alongside Bryan Power, Tony Mejia, Teddy Covers. I'm Megan Payton. Guys, we're here, so that means more basketball is around the corner. The Celtics force a Game 5, avoid a sweep. Unlike the Western Conference, Nuggets are just sitting, hanging around, waiting to find out who their opponent is. This is best case scenario for Denver. All right, Bryan, Tony, Teddy, we got to get your thoughts on tonight's game. But before, let's hear what's going on. Bryan, how are you doing? What are you making of this series thus far?
Yeah, I had Boston money line game 4. That was great. Thought the odds makers made too big of an adjustment with the Celtics as an underdog after they closed -4.5 for game 3. So that was good. It's been a great week, honestly. Megan went 4-1 overall yesterday. 14-4 last 18 in MLB, number 1 MLB last 7 days, number 1 in MLB going back to October, as a matter of fact, up 73.3 units. And hot off the presses, we got a special offer right now going. Use code POWER3. You get $20 off my 3-day all access. You can get tonight's NBA and MLB winners combined, both of them, for less than $10 if you just want those two. But again, that's code POWER3 if you want the next 3 days, $20 off. It will just be $20 at that point.
Great stuff leading into Memorial Day weekend. We still have last call on Saturday where we'll go through some more MLB action. It is the NBA show. So, Tony, how's it been with you this week? How are you feeling about tonight's game?
Well, if power is unbreakable, I'm Mr. Glass because I have had a terrible week. It has not been good. I lost my 5% because I did believe that Boston was a broken bird and did not enjoy playing together and wanted to catch that short commute down to the islands, separately, of course, because they don't like each other. But they were resilient in that third quarter. Third quarter has been the bane of my existence this week. I like the Lakers over the Nuggets, and obviously Denver rallied from 15 down at the break on Monday, and then on Tuesday, a series that should have been over was extended because Jimmy Butler, frankly, missed bunnies and was un Jimmy Butler, like in missing all those short shots. Gave the Celtics life, and to their credit, they were resilient, and they took that lifeline and now extended the series. And I fully expect that there will be a Game 6. We'll just see if they cover the spread. Am off to a good start today, though. We'll see if the Miami Marlins hang on today. They're up right now in Colorado, and I got a win in La Liga with Mallorca earlier today. So hopefully turn this around in the second half of the week.
Yeah, I'm looking to turn it around too. I had Jaylen Brown over 2.5 3-pointers. That didn't cash. I also had the over in game 4, which also didn't cash. So we're looking for bounce back tonight in game 5. Teddy Covers, what's going on with you? How's it been? What are you looking forward to tonight?
I can't complain too much. I mean, the NBA playoffs, I'm on a 5-1 run, 47-29 over the last 2 years, 62%. NBA overall, 189 and 129, 59% since February 2022. I'm up 175 units. And I'm 65% on all sport over the last just shy of 2 weeks. So it's been a pretty good run. When it comes to this series, and I'm going to talk about it a lot more later, it's not over. I'll just leave it at that. And all this. So I've heard so many different teams that are down 0-3. Do you guys know the proper number? I heard 157, 147, 150. Does anyone know what the right number of teams that have failed in Boston's situation is?
I think it ends with a
149.
9.
Yeah.
149.
I'd heard 149, but I'd also heard 150 too. So
no, it ends with 9.
Somebody's not keeping track. Yeah.
So whether it's 0-149 or 0-150, I'm going to explain later in the show why that stat is as misleading as anything that you'll ever see when it comes to sports betting. It's not. It's real, but it's taking the numbers and manipulating them in a way that doesn't actively or accurately reflect this particular series. So we'll talk about that as the show progresses.
A little tease from Teddy for our Eastern Conference series. We've got Heat Celtics. Let's get into game 5. We go back to TD Garden. Heat Celtics. Celtics -8.5, total 215. Tip off at 8:30 Eastern. The Celtics avoided the sweep in game 4, winning 116-99. Tatum had 33 points, but it was really the background players for the Celtics. Marcus Smart, Al Horford, Derek White, Grant Williams. We saw them combined for 53 points. If that can happen again in game 5, it makes sense why we see this 8-point. However, Teddy, when I look at this, I say, is the market overreacting by giving Boston 8.5? What are your thoughts?
Well, Boston's laying 8.5. They're giving Miami.
Yeah, sorry, by
8.5.
laying 8.5. Yes.
Sure. I mean, this is in line with what we've seen in this series. The Celtics have been power rated in this range from day one of the playoffs, and Miami hasn't. When you look at game one, what was it? -8.5. Game two was -10. So we're not seeing anything different power rating wise between these two teams. One of the things I like to do in the NBA postseason, that I pay a lot of attention to, is look for teams that are series that are mispriced from the get-go. And clearly, this was one of them. All right. Miami's regular season wasn't very good. Boston's regular season was elite. To see the markets adjust from those regular season numbers to what we've seen in the postseason just doesn't happen. And when a team is plus 8.5 in game one and they win outright and they win the next two, they go back to Boston, they're plus 8.5. I really don't want the favorite. I don't think there's value on the Boston side per se in this series. And the winners that I've had have come with Miami plus, not Boston minus. So from a side standpoint, it's a one-way game for me. That said, I don't know that I want Miami game 5. I really don't. Boston figured out something defensively going into game 4. All of a sudden, the Heat not getting the open looks, not hitting the three-pointers. I know they missed bunnies, but they missed bunnies because they were out of sorts because the Celtics defended them better. I'm concerned. Miami shoots 8 for 32 from three-point range. They have no Hero. They have no Oladipo. Now they got no Gabe Vincent. How much are you going to ask Max Strus to do for you? I worry about Miami being able to put the biscuit in the basket tonight. As for the Boston side of the equation, I already said I can't lay with Boston, and I don't want Miami plus. So from a side standpoint, I'm not involved. I'm looking at the total for my clients to see.
A pass for Teddy on this side. Miami will be without one of their key contributors in Gabe Vincent. Gabe Vincent has been great during the postseason, averaging 17.5 points in the playoffs. He's also been shooting over 50% from three. How much, Bryan, is his loss going to impact the way that you handicap game 5?
The incredible Gabe Vincent, the words of Reggie Miller. So, I think it's a big loss. I mean, as Teddy talked about, no Hero, no Oladipo, easy for me to say either. So, I mean, the Heat are running out of bodies here, Megan. Just going back to a few things Teddy said, in terms of how these two teams have been power rated in the series. I mean, one of the reasons I liked the Celtics a lot in the last game is we did actually see a bit of a change with them, opening as a dog as opposed to, where they closed at in game 3. Now we kind of go back to the original pricing, how it is. I'm not surprised that Boston is being asked to lay a number like this. But looking at tonight, I think we're all going to agree here. All of a sudden, this Celtics team's got life, guys, following the 116-99 win in Game 4, as we all know. And I'm interested in what Teddy has to say about this coming up. He teased it, but, obviously we know no teams come back from an 0-3 series deficit. Only 3 have forced a Game 7. And tonight, Boston seeks to do what only 14 other teams in history have done, and that's force a Game 6 after being down 0-3 in the series. So very few teams have even come back to win 2 games. But Tony mentioned this at the top, and I concur with him. I think Boston is going to force a Game 6. You have the injury concerns for the Heat, which are substantial. Now, do I want to lay the full game spread with Boston? Similar to Teddy? No, I don't. Because as I've mentioned before on the program, Miami doesn't lose by 9 or more points very often. Megan, Game 4, just the 17th time all season that they lost by that margin. And you look back at Game 4, the shooting discrepancies that we saw. It was a wide shooting discrepancy. The Heat obviously shoot very poorly. They hit just 25% from 3, 8 of 32, 43.6% overall. Conversely, the Celtics, 51.2% overall and 40% from 3. Shooting disparity is something I always factor into my handicap, and it's a reason I liked Boston, believe it or not, in Game 4, because if you recall, Miami shot lights out in Game 3, while Boston had a poor night. In these playoffs, I've had a lot of success betting, with the shooting variance, betting on teams coming off an off shooting night against a team that shot better than usual, quite frankly. I think, we all talk about regression to the mean all the time. That being said, I can't see the Heat winning here. I do have a way you can back Boston. I'll get to that in the best bet segment in a little bit here. But yeah, I'm not playing the spread here either tonight, Megan. But I do have a way, if you like Boston, to back them. And I'll talk about that in a few minutes, I guess.
There are many ways to bet this game from player points perspective, from just player props in general. We can look at total. I do want to eye the total. It's at 215. The total has gone over in the first three games. Game four was the first game this series that it went under. I had the over. I was wrong here. However, I still expect a bounce back, a little bit higher scoring. The adrenaline in TD Garden's going to be nuts. You would assume that Boston's going to get off pretty early on, get some momentum going. The Heat had a bad performance from three. Even with the injuries, you would think that Miami would be able to bounce back a little. So my lean is towards the over. Tony, are you going to be eyeing a total in here, or are you going to be looking at the spread?
Yeah, my top client play tonight is on that total, and I think it's going to be a tug of war because Joe Mazzulla said we got comfortable pushing the ball, we got stops, and then we scored off our defense, which is entirely what we want to do. And at home, as you just mentioned, I think the Celtics are going to want to push whenever possible. It's on Miami to slow down the tempo. That's going to be the best way to avoid foul trouble since they're down bodies. That's essential. It's going to be the best way for them to do what they were able to do when they've been successful in this series, which is let Jimmy Butler get to his spots, which takes time. They set a bunch of screens for him, get guys open with multiple actions, and work the Celtics in a manner that really allows the coaching mismatch to rear its head, because Eric Spoelstra does have Mazzulla's number. I think from a strategy standpoint, he's going to be able to orchestrate a game plan for a shorthanded Miami team to steal another one at TD Garden, which would make this particular Celtics team one of the biggest disappointments of all time as a heavily favored home team to lose all three games if they are eliminated tonight. But again, the Celtics are the more talented team now without Vincent. They're deeper. I think you have to go to Haywood Highsmith for maybe 10 to 12 minutes if you're Eric Spoelstra, just to get another defender out there, to not be overly reliant on Duncan Robinson, who, if he's not hitting shots, is a liability on defense, although he was better on that end of the floor in the games that the Miami Heat were able to steal when he was effective. So a lot of balls in the air for Spo. But again, I trust him enough not to say I'm going to lay the points with the Boston Celtics, which is awfully tempting, given the fact that he just engineered a blowout win and they will be home, and those Celtics fans are going to be off the walls and providing a raucous atmosphere for a comeback, because all this fan base has been there before, believing that they can come back from a 3-0 deficit and actually doing it against the New York Yankees, much to my chagrin, back in the day. So only franchise in modern history that has done that has been the Boston Red Sox. And I would not scoff at what Teddy's going to say just because of that, because it is doable.
Well, let's get into what the rest of the panel has to say. It seems like we're all thinking totals a little bit. And one thing to add on here, you look at a Celtics off of a win. Does it mean that they're going to bounce back or, keep continuing offensive performance? I think that their defense could potentially drop off a little bit, whereas the Heat could be expected to bounce back from a loss. And that's why I'd be looking more towards that over. It's time, though, for this segment of Best Bets. The rules are simple: 60 seconds on the clock. The panel can do whatever they want, but they got to give us a best bet. Only one game tonight, one more before we get into the NBA Finals. Guys, reminder to drop your best bets in the YouTube live chat. If we have a sec at the end, we will go through some of them. Bryan Power, start us off. You have 60 seconds. Your best bet time starts now.
Okay, just want to remind everyone, 14-4 MLB run, number one in MLB, going all the way back to last October, up 73.3 units. And again, use code POWER3, you get $20 off my 3-day all access. And also for less than $10, you can get tonight's top plays in MLB and NBA. That's both of them for less than $10. Here's another play, though, that you should try in NBA as we look at Game 5. So earlier I mentioned the Celtics shot very well from the field in Game 4. 51% overall, 40% from three. Do they match those numbers here? Maybe not, but I think being at home, Megan, somewhat mitigates the offensive regression. At home this year, the Celtics average 119.2 points per game. I mentioned earlier, I thought the Celtics would win tonight. Well, there's been only one game this postseason where they won without scoring 112. That exception being the ugly Game 6 in the last round versus Philadelphia. I think the Celtics go over 112 tonight. You could find their team total still at 111.5. Celtics over 111.5 is today's best bet.
Bryan, I'm tailing that with my total bet because Boston is the one to look at as far as a bounce back adrenaline momentum there. All right, Tony Mejia, you have 60 seconds. What are you doing with your best bet tonight?
Yeah, let's remind everybody that it is half off Thursday. So all packages are half off. I did not, I'm trading a little lighter than normal. No 4%, no 5% tonight in game 5. So my double 3% play, top player prop, top total is only 950. So go snag that. And part of that package is a 1% client play on Jaylen Brown. And I think Jaylen Brown is very smart. I don't know if people are aware of that. And he played stupidly for the first 3 games of this series, overlooking the fact that his hand is jacked up because he cut himself before the series started. Really hasn't been shooting the ball well. And he said, I have to defer to teammates more. And I think that's why the supporting cast got more involved in avoiding that sweep. I like his over on 9.5 rebounds and assists. I think that's extremely low. I think he's going to pass more than he has, and he's going to focus on rebounding and defense. So Jaylen Brown over 9.5 rebounds and assists, and I'm 23, 9, and 2 on totals in these playoffs. So come grab a top total tonight.
Yeah, base hand, I'm no longer betting to hit over on his threes. Tony, I like that route more. Over 9.5 rebound and assist. I'm done with the offensive performance from Jaylen Brown. Teddy Covers, you teased it up a bit. We're talking totals, aren't we? Let's go. You've got 60 seconds. What do you have for us?
We're talking about the Boston Celtics in history right now. We're 0-149 or 0-150 or 0-157, whatever it is, teams down 0-3. The real number is 0-3. That's teams seeded 2 or higher who lost the first 2 games at home. Lost game 3 on the road. There's been 3 of them in the history of the NBA. One of them came back in the 50s. So if you're looking at this 0-150 trend and say that's meaningful, it couldn't be more meaningless. Boston is favored in every game remaining in this series. They're favored tonight. They'll be favored in game 6 in Miami. Should they win tonight, they'll be favored in game 7 as well. It's the easiest thing to hedge in the world. If you take Boston for this series, you could take Miami at a plus price in any game. Maybe they'll be pickup in game 6. Maybe Boston won't be favored. But when you do the math is clear. All you do is convert the points spread into money line, convert the money line and multiply them together. Percentage change is to win. The Celtics plus 240 to win the series are live. Far more than any other team that I've ever seen down 0-3 in the series. So Boston to win the series. Thank you for giving me the extra time.
Teddy Covers, because of that bet, we'll let you go on forever. You are saying that the Boston Celtics will be the first team in NBA history to come back from down 0-3. I like it. Get it at plus, right? That's yes.
I'm saying they're live. You can get Boston plus 240, and they're live. I don't know if they will be or not the first team, but they're live, and you can easily hedge back the other way at a plus price with Miami if it comes to game 6, game 7.
Fair enough. Plus 230 though, Teddy Covers. I like that. That's one of the few ways that we've been able to find some plus money values in this series. That's for sure. All right. Best bets recaps from Bryan, Tony, and Teddy. Make sure to take a screenshot of that so you can tail their bets. I'm looking over at the YouTube live chat right now. We've got some best bets coming in. We have Grant Williams over 8.5 points from John Finley. Big Daddy says plus 8.5. Miami as his best bet. We have Dave with the Heat team total over 103.5. I know Ranieri's back in that one. Sean Evans, Miami 8+ his best bet. That's what we've got for you on the NBA Tip-Off Show. We'll see you maybe here next time, or we'll just see you at the NBA Finals. Catch you here regardless on the NBA Show. Thanks for joining us.